better. He's the best in the business, does a tremendous job covering the Eagles for ESPN.com and 97.5 The Fanatic. Mr. Tim McManus on the Comcast Business Hotline. How you doing today, Tim?
Appreciate that, Ty. What's going on, man?
Man, we're excited about the Eagles, to be honest with you. We can't turn it off because we thought that just candidly, we thought this might have been a tough spot down there with the Ravens. And I'm not saying it wasn't a tough game, but considering they didn't have Devontae Smith, are you surprised with just how physical and the Eagles are and how they were able to take over a game like that late against a tough opponent?
Yeah, they out-Ravens the Ravens. I mean, that's essentially what happened. It really is something to see. And the fact that they were able to, and that is the formula, right? Like what's been working so successfully in Baltimore, it's the ground game, the ground and pound, and the stout defense. And that's really what the Eagles have morphed into this year. Kind of hard to get over what the defense is doing. And when you look at the statistics and see that they're number one in overall defense, like, is there anybody in the right mind that was talking like that in the beginning of the year? But yeah, they were able to put the clamps on the number one rated offense in their turf. And to your point, was a tough spot. Like those back-to-backs, beginning of the season, I looked at that. So, all right, they're going at the Rams, and then they're going at the Ravens. I was like, that's at least one loss right there. They're able to sweep it, and in pretty decided fashion. It's pretty impressive what this team's doing.
You brought up the defense. What do you feel like is the biggest area that has changed from last year to this year defensively?
Well, I mean, I don't think you have to look any further than the maestro. Like Vic Fangio, this defense just screams good coaching. So when you watch all three levels, it's like it's all synced up, Ricky. It's just like it's all working together. And of course, we can go sort of level by level and look at Jalen Carter and how impressive he's been and the consistency that he's now showing in his game. The out of the world, out of nowhere play of Zach Bond, who is number 4 in tackles in the entire NFL and leads the league in forced fumbles. The rookies and Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, and how out of their minds they're playing for that level. But I think so much of it just comes back to this is a well-coached team. And in particular, it's a really well-coached defense. It's very clear that they know exactly what they're doing. And you can tell that because the level of blown assignments is like really low. And when they do, they make up for it with intensity and effort to the football. So it's just, it's been phenomenal to watch.
Tim, we've had a lot of debate this week, especially yesterday, about the quarterback Jalen Hurts. What we're saying is, what we have been saying, you can please correct us if we're wrong, what we've been saying is Jalen's really dialing down his ego and doing whatever the team needs him to win, and I think there's a quality in that. Some people say, well, they're protecting they're protecting him. He's not really that good. How do you grade Jalen Hurts' play given the style offensively that the Eagles are playing?
I think he's doing what it takes, and just look at the evidence and the fact that they've rattled off 8 straight. During the bye week, they identified what the strength of this group is, and that's the offensive line, and that's Saquon Barkley, and they're riding that. The players have gotten behind that idea, like even Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, who obviously want the ball. The way that Smith put it last week is like, you have Superman back there, like you can't complain. And so there's been a collective buy-in, and I think that includes from the quarterback. And really, the big stat that you look at is the fact that he had those 7 turnovers over the first 4 weeks of the season, Ty, and that is shot all the way down to where he's hardly turning the ball over at all now. He is throwing the ball away when he doesn't like the look. It's kind of like a live to play another down. And it's been conducive to winning, clearly. There still can be a conversation about, all right, like where's this pass game at? And will there be a point in time where they face an opponent, maybe it's not to the postseason, maybe it's not to the NFC Championship, maybe it's not to the Super Bowl, when, it's got to go on Hurts' shoulders and that passing game's shoulders. Is it up for that test? And I think that's fair to ask, and it won't really be answered until we get into that moment. But for right now, Hurts is obviously doing enough.
Tim, when I look at this team, there's been plenty of injuries. I think we all know that. But the depth of this team has kind of stood on its head. What do you think about the job the guys that have filled in have done? I mean, you look as far as Calcaterra, you look at Fred Johnson, all the way up and down. Somebody's taken a step forward in those backup roles.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Also, Isaiah Rodgers, I think if there was a major injury to a cornerback last year, it was like lights out, But this year they have cornerback depth, and they're able to overcome that. And even, look, for this past week anyway, Brandon Graham goes down, and there's consternation about that. For me, that consternation kind of continues. But for this past week, Josh Sweat, Nolan Smith, even the rookie Jalen Hunt, they all rose to the moment. And so, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, they've been tested on several different fronts, and maybe, we should highlight Calcaterra a little bit more for the fact that now here comes another moment with Goddard sidelined where you're going to need him to have some meaningful moments here, and I think that he's enjoyed a pretty good season. That's going to need to continue over the next at least week.
We're speaking with Tim McManus, does a tremendous job covering the Eagles for ESPN.com and 97.5 The Fanatic. Tim, Nick Sirianni, 2-2. A lot of fans, we've been talking about it throughout the day, a lot of fans wanted him gone, 8 straight. And it seems like to us that this team is kind of taking on his personality, that competitive thing, and he seems to fancy himself a tough guy, even if he's not, and the team plays really tough. Does Sirianni deserve credit for how this team plays stylistically?
Yeah, of course. I mean, these are the things that he's emphasizing and that he's really honed in on, and the team is responding to it. So anytime that you're in a position that the team is, the head coach, even though we have, there's been a lot of conversation, obviously, trying to figure out exactly what his role is going to be this year and where he's affecting the team and the game. Through his messaging, it's very obvious that they have taken that on. They've taken it to heart. They've defended him in his weaker moments, and he does deserve credit for it. I don't, there's really no doubt about that. So he's been able to oversee a team that is absolutely thriving, and there's still tests ahead here. There's going to be big games. People like to go really sweeping in one way or another about this head coach. He's fired, and then he needs a contract extension. It's like, let's let it play out. Let's let it breathe. Let's see how he does in big moments coming through here. But yeah, he's done a very nice job so far.
Tim, what if anything could actually stop this team?
Well, so the edge rush group. Let's go back to that real quick. Can that sustain over time? Is there going to be a wear down here with Jalen Carter? I was looking at his numbers for a piece that's running tomorrow on the defense on ESPN. He's already played 56 more snaps than he played all of last year. And over the last 3 games, there's been 210 snaps, and he's played 200 of them, somewhere right in there. He's playing a lot, and he's been great. And I just wonder, he's never played this much. So at some point, is Fangio going a little bit overboard here, and does he start to wear down? And on the flip side of that is Barkley, who's also on pace for the most touches that he's ever had, and the most carries that he's ever had. And will something break? I guess whether it be from the running back side or from the defensive front side as we get into the very late end of the season here. But other than that, it's a very well-constructed, well-coached team that has a chance. I think it's getting pretty clear, to go the distance. So they need the good health, and they need the endurance to continue as we get closer to the finish line.
Well, Tim, we really appreciate the time. I know the locker room's opening in just a little while. They adjusted the schedule on the fly today. Really appreciate all your work as usual, and we'll talk to you next week.
Always my pleasure, guys. Talk to you soon.
All right. That was Tim McManus on the Comcast Business Hotline. Does just a tremendous job covering the Eagles for ESPN.com